everyone, Sabrina here, Books of the Worm Bag in terrible British winter light. It's grey and miserable and wet outside. I've got the big light on, I've got the curtains open, and I look, I don't know, peach? Sorry, there's going to be a hue on this video because there's nothing I can do about that. Anyway, here's my review for Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen, part of my reading Jane Austen for the first time since my A-levels. I have done a video on Sense and Sensibility already, but I hadn't finished it when I did that because I was listening to the audiobook and I was talking about how I was struggling with audiobooks and the fact I've been listening to it but actually have missed like huge chunks of it. Anyway, I finally finished it a couple of weeks ago. I just haven't been up for doing a video. So I thought, okay, fine, it's time to talk about Sense and Sensibility. So I haven't skim read through this again, which is what I was going to do to fill in those gaps that I think I've missed. But I do have some thoughts about the story. Sense and Sensibility, published in 1811, follows the Dashwood family after the death of the husband. And basically they're trying to survive in this world where they have no money, that because women can't own property, they can't own money, they have no rights to their own name. And it's also a bit of infighting because you've got the first Dashwood wife who obviously wants to keep all her money for her son and also herself, so she has a better life. And so we have Eleanor and Marianne basically on the market to get married, and we follow their falling in loves, their reasoning for refusing some of the gentlemen that come to call and everything, but also actually they're in this dire situation that if they don't do something soon, they're going to run out of money and be homeless. And it's really interesting seeing how much of the start of this book was a pivotal setup of the financial situation of the Dashwoods and how important that it was to understand where these people are coming from. And clearly today it's quite an alien concept to us that women can't own money, that they can't own property, that their only prospects really in life is to marry unless they have a fortunate and generous male members of the family who either look after them or make sure that they inherit all the money possible. Quite rare apparently. So to have all those first chapters to explain the situation, that was really interesting. I found how pivotal money is in society. And also the class system, you can't marry outside of your class, again, for financial reasons. The upper classes don't want the lower classes because obviously they're bringing themselves down. But also the lower classes can't marry up because, they're being restricted by the glass ceiling. So that was really fascinating to me, hearing all that and learning that just money literally does make the world go round in this world. I really liked Eleanor and Marianne. I did get to a point where I'm just like, oh my God, please pull yourself together, girl. The fact that Miriam has this terrible illness because she's been rejected. Oh, I think some lights come out. She's been rejected and she has this breakdown and everything, and I'm like, girl, no guy's worth this. No guy is literally worth your personal health. Don't do it to yourself. But obviously, it's the whole she's fallen so hard and then is so distraught because he's treated her so badly. What really pissed me off, and spoilers if you haven't seen or read Sense and Sensibility, is that Jane Austen is kind to her pieces of shit men. They are allowed a redemption. They are allowed to live with treating the women poorly in the world. So it kind of annoys me that, yes, he realises he loved Miriam and wanted to be with her, but couldn't because he was already married and he was tied to this terrible woman. But he'd have to live with that with the rest of his life. And it's like, you got to live with that for the rest of your life. You've got a comfy life. You've got a woman who's going to look after you and she can't leave you because she's trapped. So actually, screw you, mate. You had plenty of opportunity to do the decent thing and you didn't bother. You didn't come down ill from being rejected. No, you carried on making out you were the victim in that. So I really, really didn't like him. Was that Edward? Oh no, John Willoughby. Ugh, did not like him at all. Yeah, horrible man. On the other hand, Colonel Brownwaith, It's Alan Rickman's character in the BBC dramatisation. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. I really liked him. He came across as actually a stalwart man who'd loved and lost and just wanted the best. Yeah, I quite liked the Colonel, I have to admit. He was quite nice. One thing that really shocked me was the age gap. I was like, the age gap between these girls and the men that are chasing them. And it's like, oh my God, this is like, yeah, that took me by surprise, actually, because obviously the women have been sheltered, they've been protected by their family, they've grown up on this estate, you know, they're presented to society in a certain way. They don't know anything about the world. They don't know anything about the way that men behave or women behave. They are literally thrust out there as young women with no experience of the world or society or how it really works. They have this like idolized view of love and romance and marriage, that it's all going to be wonderful. And then they're thrust into the world and it's like, yeah, you lot were cruel to your daughters. You really were. It does seem to be that because the men are so much older, they've had the chance to experience life. They've gone out, they've done the drinking, they've done the wooing various women and breaking hearts and throwing them away. They've got to do all that, but now they're looking for a virtuous young lady who they can have to look after them. So there were a lot of things that kind of pissed me off. But then we're talking the 1800s, you know, women's rights weren't really a thing. You know, women were very much property. Women had one role and one role only in society. And the fact that this is written by Jane Austen, a woman who bucked the trend in society, who refused to conform, who didn't marry, who lived off what pittance money she was given from her books she wrote, Jane Austen does everything against what her characters are forced to do. So, you know, these are quite interesting as they're like this little time capsule. And so many Dickens is this time capsule of that period of what it was actually like to be a woman of a certain class in society, and the things that they're expected to do, the way they're expected to behave, and the things that they will encounter. Yeah, so actually, considering I missed a lot of this, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite fascinating. I didn't care for the romance in it, but I'm not a huge romancy girl. But I will appreciate how much the Eleanor fought for what was right for her sister, that her sister was well looked after, that she was treated with respect and kindness, that Eleanor kind of refused to accept anything but what she wanted. I really respect him for that. But I also, you know, the first Mrs. Dashwood, she's a bitch. It's like, you're a woman who is deliberately putting other women in a tenuous position where they could lose it or where they can barely survive. How could you do that to another woman? And there's, oh yeah, just remind me that actually some women won't lift up other women because of jealousy or because they want to be the top dog. You know, the ones that pull up the ladder behind them and sod every woman beneath them because I got here. I don't care about the rest of you. Yeah, we still have them in society, don't we? This is fascinating. I will be reading Emma next. Emma was the favourite one that I did at my A-levels. And I'm quite fond of Emma. She's quite a humorous character. But yeah, Sense and Sensibility. If you've not read it, I would recommend it. It's really easy to read. Like I said, I listened to the audiobook. It was Rosamund Pike, and she does a really good job reading it. You do have distinction between the different sisters, and the gentleman voices she does are actually really good. And she just has a really nice voice. You can just sit and listen to it. So I do recommend that version. Yeah. So, my first Jane Austen. Success. She's not as bad as I have feared. There we go. So have you read Sense and Sensibility? Which version of screen adaptation do you prefer? Is it the classic 90s production by the BBC, or is there another one out there that you like and think I should watch? Thank you very much for watching, and happy reading. Bye.